I call it as it is, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. I try to be fair on this show, and yes, I lean to the left, and yes, I don't have a lot in common with Republicans, but I also try to be fair, and I call out Democrats as I see it. And I believe Eric Adams has a lot of similarities to Donald Trump. He had a lot of very serious charges that were brought against him, a lot of mounting evidence against Eric Adams. Now, he deserved to defend himself in a courtroom, as I would say for anybody, even a Donald Trump. But if you don't think that this is a quid pro quo, then you are a biased hack. As much as I'm on Donald Trump on a daily basis, and we all know how corrupt he is, and we all know what a terrible human being he is, it's also important to call out the other side when necessary. Now, if you haven't been following this, they dropped the charges on Eric Adams. Why? Very interesting, because Eric Adams is now all on board with Donald Trump's immigration policies. He's totally okay with ICE going into synagogues and churches and deporting a bunch of nonviolent immigrants that happen to not have the proper paperwork. So Eric Adams made the excuse of, well, I can't really do my job with having to deal with these charges. Well, guess what? Then don't break the law. But Eric Adams did have the time to show up with Tom Homan today on Fox and Friends. And I want you to listen to the excuse that Eric Adams made when he was asked about this.
Think about that. Think about that. Think about my attorney, Alex Spira, one of the top trial attorneys in the country. Imagine him going inside saying that the only way Mayor Adams is going to assist in immigration, which I was calling for since 2022, right, is if you drop the charges. That's quid pro quo. That's a crime. It took her 3 weeks to report in front of her a criminal action. Right. Come on, this is silly.
No, it's not silly. And 7 prosecutors have stepped down because they are pissed off that they were pressured into dropping these charges because clearly this was a quid pro quo. Now, if you don't believe me, listen to what Tom Homan said sitting right next to Eric Adams on Fox and Friends today.
If he doesn't come through, if he doesn't come through, I'll be back in New York City, and we won't be sitting on the couch. I'll be in his office, up his butt, saying, "Where the hell is the agreement we came to?" So,
I want ICE to deliver, and I want ICE to deliver. We're going to deliver for the safety of the people of this city.
Make no mistake about it. This is corruption. This is a quid pro quo. Eric Adams should have to face the music in a courtroom. Instead, he's playing with people's lives. What do I mean by that? He might be the only Democrat in the country that's okay with ICE deporting nonviolent criminals in churches, synagogues, and schools. Why would he be okay with this? Because the charges have been dropped. Now, I understand that a couple of years ago, Eric Adams wanted to enforce some positions that maybe some on the right would enforce, but he's never taken it this far. And now Tom Homan, you heard him, this is a quid pro quo. In other terms, we're going to file those charges against you again, Mr. Adams, unless you abide by what we say and what we do. He is a pawn for the Donald Trump administration, and Democrats and Republicans should be outraged by this. I try to call balls and strikes on this show, and I'm telling you right now, Eric Adams, in my opinion, is he as dangerous as Donald Trump? No, of course not. But there are some similarities here. And while Donald Trump is a 34-count convicted felon, okay, Eric Adams should have had his day in court to face the music. And that is now not going to happen. And there are people in New York City that are suffering for it. And there are those that are in that city for decades and decades that pay their taxes that are going to be deported so that Eric Adams doesn't get prosecuted. Ladies and gentlemen, that's wrong. And if you don't call it out, you're a bias hack.